Why avoidants can't handle super empath's detachment. Have you ever met someone who believes they can lose you and still keep control over you? That's the illusion of an avoidant. They believe you'll always come back, no matter how many times they pull away. And you, the super empaths, you keep returning, because your heart doesn't know how to give up. You try to understand, to heal, to hold the connection together. But one day your inner light doesn't fade, it simply changes direction. You realize there's nothing left to give. You grow quiet, and that silence becomes the moment everything shifts. For the avoidant, your silence is the most dangerous thing of all, because now the game is over. They used to feed on your reactions, your explanations, your concern, your presence. And now, when you say nothing, show nothing, they begin to lose their sense of control. They thought the power was in their hands, but now they see the truth. The real strength was always in your patience, your softness, your empathy, and when you pull all that energy back, their entire illusion starts to crumble. This is the turning point. Now let's look deeper at what really changes for the avoidant when the super empath finally detaches. For self-preservation, creating a complex pattern of approach and retreat that defines our relationships. The first thing, the illusion of control shatters. The first thing they lose isn't you, it's the illusion that they ever had control. For the avoidant, control feels like safety. They pull away not to hurt you, but to protect themselves. Every time you chase after them, try to fix things or explain what went wrong, it strengthens that illusion. They start believing they decide when love starts and when it ends, that you'll always be there waiting for them to return. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment your silence replaces your explanations, that illusion begins to crack. Their calm turns into confusion. The silence they once used as a weapon now becomes the very thing that disarms them. They thought your patience meant weakness. They thought your care made you predictable, but your stillness carries a kind of power they can't understand, a power they can't influence or control, and when that happens, the balance shifts. For the first time they feel helpless, not because you left in anger, but because you left in peace. That's the first thing that breaks when a super empath detaches, the illusion of control. And once that illusion is gone, something even deeper begins, a confrontation they can't escape. That brings us to the second thing, the mirror finally turns toward them. The second thing, the mirror turns toward them. Once the illusion of control breaks, the second thing happens, the mirror turns toward them. For the first time, the avoidant has no one left to project onto. No explanations to ignore, no messages to leave unread, just silence, raw, heavy, unavoidable silence. And in that silence, they begin to see what was always there but hidden behind distraction. Your absence becomes their reflection. The calm energy they once misunderstood as weakness now stares back at them, showing every fear they've tried to bury. They see the patterns, the pulling away, the emotional walls, the unspoken fear of being seen. They start realizing that all the chaos they blamed you for was never yours, it was theirs. You were only reflecting it with love, hoping they'd see themselves through your eyes. But now, your detachment forces them to see without your softness, and that's what makes it unbearable, because your silence doesn't shout, it reveals. It holds up a mirror to everything they've been avoiding, their fear of closeness, their need for control, and the emptiness underneath it all. It's no longer about losing you, it's about facing themselves. And that's the pain they never prepared for. When the mirror turns, they realize you were never the problem, you were the reflection, and that realization changes everything. The third thing, the energy reverses after the mirror turns. Something powerful begins to shift. The energy reverses. For so long the avoidant has been in quiet control of the emotional current. They pulled away, and you reached out. They went silent, and you filled the space. Every reaction from you kept the cycle alive, feeding them a sense of emotional security without requiring vulnerability. But detachment breaks that pattern. When you stop feeding the connection, the current flows back toward you. The attention, the effort, the emotional labor, all of it returns home. Your silence no longer feels like loss, it feels like alignment. For the avoidant though, this reversal is disorienting. The stillness that once made them feel powerful now drains them. The emotional energy they used to absorb from your presence disappears, and they're left standing in their own void. They start to crave what they once took for granted, your warmth, your patience, your emotional grounding, but you're no longer offering it. You've taken your power back, not through anger, but through balance. This reversal leaves them unsettled, because now the energy that once circled around their avoidance is orbiting you, centered, calm, untouchable. And that's the third thing they can't handle. The moment they realize the energy no longer belongs to them, but to the one they thought they could control. The fourth thing, the fantasy collapses once the energy shifts. The fourth thing happens, the fantasy begins to fall apart. For a long time, the avoidant has lived inside a carefully built story, one where they believed they held the upper hand. They told themselves they didn't need you as much as you needed them, that their silence meant strength, and your emotions meant weakness. It was a comfortable illusion, a world where detachment looked like control, but when your presence is gone, that world loses its foundation. The fantasy can't survive without your energy feeding it. Your calm dismantles their narrative. Suddenly the version of you that existed in their mind, the one they could push away and pull close at will, doesn't exist anymore. What remains is reality. A reality they don't recognize, one where you no longer orbit around their moods, one where your peace speaks louder than their distance ever could. They start to see the truth. They were never the ones in control of the story. You were the heartbeat that gave it meaning. Without you, their script falls silent, and when the fantasy collapses, so does their confidence, because now they have to face a truth more painful than rejection, that the connection they thought they ruled was only alive because you kept believing in it. That's when they finally understand the illusion was never yours to break, it was theirs to face. The fifth thing, the realization of loss after the fantasy crumbles. The fifth and final thing arrives, realization, not the kind that comes suddenly, but the kind that sinks in slowly, like silence after a storm. At first the avoidant convinces themselves that nothing has changed. They tell themselves you'll return, like you always did. They scroll past your name pretending not to care, but that calm they once found in distance no longer feels peaceful, it feels empty. Days turn into echoes. The absence they once created on purpose now feels permanent. They start noticing the spaces where your presence used to live, your messages, your warmth, your understanding. The energy that once comforted them is nowhere to be found, and no distraction can replace it. That's when truth hits. They didn't lose someone dependent on them, they lost someone who saw them completely, even when they couldn't see themselves. They realized that your detachment wasn't punishment, it was closure, and that kind of ending is the one they can't control, can't fix, and can't forget. What hurts the most isn't that you left, it's that you left without noise. Your peace became proof that they no longer hold any power, and in that quiet understanding, they finally feel what you once felt, the ache of being unseen, unheard, and too late to change it. That's the final thing. The moment they realize losing you meant losing the only love that ever tried to reach them. If you're hearing this right now, maybe you've been the one who always gave, the one who felt deeply, forgave endlessly, and stayed long after you were breaking inside. Maybe you kept hoping they'd finally understand your heart. But listen, it's not your job to teach someone how to love with honesty. Your only duty is to protect your peace when love starts to cost your clarity. You don't have to keep proving your worth to people who can't recognize it. You don't need to explain your silence, your healing, or your decision to walk away. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. The moment you stop chasing what keeps hurting you, your life begins to shift. You return to yourself, softer, stronger, wiser. And in that stillness, you'll find a peace louder than any apology could ever be. So take this moment and breathe. You've done the work. You've earned your calm. Now let your quiet become your boundary, not your burden. Because one day they'll realize what they lost, but by then you'll have already found yourself. You've risen, you've evolved. And your detachment, that's not the end of love, it's the beginning of self-respect. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever reached the point where silence became your power? I'd love to read your story.